quite a few, Perry Long and a few of the guys from the city council today already. Council, I didn't talk to city councilors. I've been with them. Yeah, never mind. Go there. And you gotta have. It's hard
Just trying to listen.
First of all, I'd like to thank Linda and Kendrick for having us and welcoming us into their home. Not my meeting. This is your meeting. So I don't know if everyone wants to begin discussing the gate issue.
Number one, that
fine,
works.
yeah, don't lock us in.
Okay, so who wants to start?
What do you have planned?
Well, first, I think I'd defer to the mayor and ask him if he'd care to make some opening comments.
Is it okay if the department heads sit down so we can all introduce ourselves to you so we know who we all are?
Please do.
Begin by introducing ourselves to you. That way you know who everybody is here sitting at the table. Mayor Will Flanagan, and then I'll turn it over to Sean Kadeem.
Sean Kadeem, City Administrator.
Perry Long, Neighborhood Outreach Coordinator for the Mayor's Office.
Daniel Racine, former Police Chief.
Ken Pacheco, Director of Community Maintenance.
Michael Bossi, I'm the Woodtupper Reservation Forester.
John Friar, Director of the Water Division, Department of Community.
And we've been going throughout the entire city of Fall River, whether it's here in the Copicut or in the Highlands or in the Corky Row or the Maplewood or the Niagara neighborhoods, and we've been having meetings just like this, bringing our department heads out to the neighborhoods, addressing the issues and concerns of each particular neighborhood that we're in. And for some neighborhoods, the concerns of the city, whether it's education and public safety, or in certain neighborhoods, the issues are site-specific. And I know we're going to be talking about a site-specific issue here tonight, and I want to make sure that we get as informed as possible on it, and that we inform you as much as possible with what plans are being discussed at the city level, to do an overview of the watershed protection area, and then we can open it up for questions and talk about whatever you all want to talk about.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good evening. I'd like to begin by stating that this proposed road closure plan is a draft. We want to encourage public input. No final decisions have been made. Given the comments in opposition so far, I need to focus for you on the supporting reasons for the proposal. And before I do that, I have brought approximately 50 copies of a diagram that shows what the proposal would entail, the 3 different steps. I didn't appreciate how much was happening in that area until I went on to YouTube at Mike's suggestion and looked at off-road vehicle Copicut. I was really surprised to find perhaps 12 to 18 videos, of which at least half seem to be specifically within the city's properties, and the absolutely crazy things that are being done with large wheel, 4-wheel drive vehicles. Problems with trash dumping either on their property or nearby. The trash pickup work that we do prevents us from doing necessary routine maintenance. For example, mowing the slope of the dam. But let me insert something here. As a result of some of the problems several years ago and more recently last year, the Office of Dam Safety of the Commonwealth has become very much more involved in analyzing dams, determining their condition, and then requiring the owners to take appropriate maintenance steps. The nearest example of that is the dam up in Forge Pond in Freetown. There was real concern that that dam was in danger of imminent collapse. The owner was unresponsive, and I think finally the state breached part of it, or someone breached part of it, and it wasn't the owner. That dam is still a little bit of a ticking time bomb. It's particularly onerous on Mike. He has one laborer. The laborer spends up to 60% of his time picking up large and small scale trash. And recently we had to change from a pickup truck to a small dump because the mattresses and other large items that are left out there simply couldn't be picked up economically in the pickup. You could only make one or pick up 1 or 2 items and you had to go back and come back again. The pickup truck is going to work out a little better, we hope. We are hampered in our efforts because of the burden placed on us by those that just don't get it. And my guess is there aren't too many of those here. They're the guys that we are having a problem with. And we must always remember that the constituency that Mike and I serve is the water users and the ratepayers served by the water division, to whom we must guarantee sufficient quality water at the lowest cost possible. There is no advantage to that constituency to allowing the problems on the watershed that I've identified. So let's discuss the solutions. My words are, what are your concerns? What do you suggest we do? And what resources are you able to provide to do it?
Before we open it up to public comment, anything?
I do want to say I did bring, I only have 15 copies, but this is a sort of a narrative version of where the roads, where gates that...
Can we pass them out?
Yeah, sure. Where the proposals, locations are. And I think everyone who lives out here appreciates the bioreserve, and we appreciate the bioreserve. And, I think everyone would feel it is offensive, the level of trash.
This draft plan, what do the phases mean, John, and when would they go into implementation?
First, there would be the period of public comment input for modifications. I think Joe Bisco is here.
Joe's right here.
And, sorry, Joe. There has been some concerns expressed about the location of the gates on Quantapug Road. We've adjusted that. There has been some concern about access for hunting. We have some alternatives in mind for that. So I think we are, well, that's the first stage. The second part of it is the implementation of whatever comes out of these discussions. That would involve Quantapug Road and Copicut Road. Copicut Road beyond I'll call it the inhabited area, north up to the Freetown, just before the Freetown line. Quantapug Road, I think, has been referred to as part of it as Muffler Hill. I think some of you folks would agree that you wouldn't want to take your nice new Lexus up across that. So those are those are the two areas that we would begin with, and then I think you'd see a trial period, find out how that worked out, and again, review it in a setting such as this before we implement it.
Is there a formal process for this? I mean, I know the intent is to get as much input as possible before we actually implement these phases, and I know that's why the mayor has agreed to even entertain these plans, is because there's going to be some input.
Well, I think that this constitutes the first formal public input session. As I indicated, there have been a number of informal meetings that have taken place. Mike has certainly been in contact with folks, neighbors. We've had a number of phone calls. This is the first formal one. I think it's fair to make a guarantee that if phase one is implemented, another phase would not be implemented absent a second formal session to discuss the pros and cons of what's happening.
Questions and do the best we can to answer those questions. Sarah?
I'd like to address the dumping right off the bat. The Copicut cleanup over the last several years has hosted the annual cleanup, and we certainly have pulled our fair share of garbage out of the woods. Part of my interest in that is that I want the opportunity to long-term have the opportunity to change the collective consciousness as far as garbage and dumping is concerned. If we gate the roads off and there's no more access, it's not going to change it. It's just going to,
They're just going to dump it at the
they're just going to
gates.
dump it at the gate. It's so hard to push these ordinances. If you don't post it, it's not going to be a deterrent. It's not going to change anything. So I guess my question is, why aren't we investing in, $2,000 worth of signage before we even begin to think about $25,000 worth of gates?
And the other thing is I mean, without a third shift, you're not going to be catching dumpers anyways. I mean, it happens by my house all the time. I mean, unfortunately, I usually go to bed around 10 or 11 o'clock at night.
and then there's no third shift police, which is, I understand.
They normally put the cameras in position for about 3 months. They stay in the same position, and there's 2 cameras, they work together. One camera gets the license plate, and the other camera is looking for face recognition. And they were currently at another site, which is why we don't have them yet. As soon as that period is over at that site, then they're being committed to the city for quite a...
I've lived out here 17 years. Dumping has decreased. If he's saying dumping's increased, well, I haven't seen it. I'm a retired correction officer. I've been home for the last year and a half. I drive from Yellow Hill Road to Dartmouth, from Yellow Hill Road. I drive down to Blossom Road, down Yellow Hill Road, to Wilson Road. I see people at all hours of the night. I used to come home at 11:30 at night. People parking, people doing whatever. It comes down to, we need environmental cops where they belong. Give them back the building. Give them back the building, put them back where they belong. I was driving on risky roads for 13 years, and you know what the city told me? You know what the answer I got?
Let me hear it.
You chose to live out there. I didn't make it for a single-family dwelling, and everybody here has probably heard the same thing. I chose to live out here. Well, again, I didn't twist the city's arm to say, let's put a single-family dwelling here.
Now, getting back to your gates, you don't have any money to fix up your roads. Where are you going to get the money from to do these gates? And I'm going to tell you something right now. We own property by the dog cemetery on Burrock Road. They got that ain't going to solve your problem putting gates.
The same problem at Stafford Pond.
It's going to make the kids more tempted to take these gates down to get in there.
We started out with a couple of telephone poles and a cable, snap.
Don't work.
Snap.
Yeah. They got torches, they got saws, they got chainsaws to cut trees down.
If you go down Eagleville Road now, you will see that you really can't get in there anymore.
Why
because
can't we fix
it is
these roads
possible.
So they're drivable?
It is possible with
And
proper
then
management.
The environmental cops get a few extra ones out there at midnight. You need somebody. You need like 3 cruisers out there at night.
Any gates up here, so what's the next issue?
I got a quick suggestion about trash.
Fix the road.
Thank you for
And I'll tell you right now, I have nothing but the utmost respect for John. I think you're totally wrong in the endeavors of closing these roads off. That's my opinion. I've stated it before.
It's clear what's going to happen. So what I'm looking forward to is finding out how we solve the problems that we've enumerated.
Fix the roads and have more police force out
There you
here.
go.
That's it.
Right? Everybody agree to that?
We don't need a forest, though. We need more police officers.
There you go. Thank you.
On Monday, I'm going to be making an announcement, and it's been brought to me by, I've been working on this now with Vice President Mitchell and City Councilor Eric Poulin. Right now, if somebody is to dump trash in Fall River, it's a $100 fine. That's what it is. If you litter, you get caught, you get a $100 ticket.
You can't raise that?
It should be $10.
It's supposed to be It's supposed to be 5,000 out here.
Massachusetts general law in general now, allows for a maximum of a $300 fine.
Unless it's criminal.
Unless it's a criminal prosecution, you're correct, Sarah. Which we still have criminal prosecution available on any littering. What we're doing is we're increasing, well, what I'm recommending to the City Council is the following. To increase that fine from $100 to $300. So anybody who's caught littering will now be subject to a $300 fine. A third of that, or $100, will remain in the Treasury where it's always been. The other 2/3, or $200, will go to a specialized account for the Fall River Police Department. And what I expect Chief Racine to do with that account is to use it to sustain and to increase the staffing levels. And just to conclude, the message here today is don't dump on Fall River. Because if you do, we're going to catch you. And not only will we catch you, but we're going to fine you. And you will fine $300 for each violation. And if you do not pay that $300 to the City of Fall River, we will then initiate judicial proceedings against you where you will be ordered to do community service by a judge of this Commonwealth. So our goal here is to clean up our city and to let our city residents know that government is doing its part to ensure that our city streets are clean streets and our sidewalks are clean sidewalks. So with that said, I'll be more than happy to open up to any questions.